Hey everybody, it's David W. Stock here. I just did a video, 10 minutes of goal setting, 2-minute video. If you're stuck on goal setting, go watch that video right now. 10-minute exercise, do it, set some goals today. If you want to go a little deeper into goal setting, that's why I'm here doing this video right now. So I've struggled with goal setting all my life, and I never seemed to know what made a good goal and what didn't. And there's a lot of resources out there to help goals. I don't know, maybe there's too many. In fact, I learned about SMART goals, which is, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and with a timeline. And it's a good guideline, but I still felt like something was missing. And so I wanted to know how to set meaningful goals that got me excited, goals that would move me forward even if I failed, powerful goals. And so I discovered a goal setting strategy called the deathbed strategy, and I worked with that a few times, and I found that it provided a lot of clarity, but I still felt like there was something missing. So a few years ago, I came across this book called The Last Lecture by a guy named Randy Pausch, and I saw the lecture on YouTube and the TED Talk, and I just was struck by this flurry of stuff that happened with Randy after he received a diagnosis of having a terminal illness. And so I wondered if it was common for people diagnosed with terminal illness to just suddenly have this drive to do, something great before they died. And then a couple of years after that, I guess, was the great Canadian tragedy of Gord Downie being diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. And of course, following Gord's diagnosis, what followed was probably the greatest cross-Canada farewell tour ever, certainly for the Tragically Hip it was anyways. And, so Gord was another person who received a terminal diagnosis and wanted to do something great with his life at the end, even though he had already done so much, So that really renewed my curiosity around the subject of how the prospect of pending death can be a powerful motivator. And it's so interesting because as far as we know, every one of us is going to die. We just don't know how much time we have. So it's time to set some new goals. And I know that you want to live your best life, and you want to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And so I do too, obviously. And so I developed this little visualization strategy just to help me get some clarity to set these goals, and at the same time gives me the urgency to achieve them. So I'm not a practitioner of meditation in any way, but I like to use the advantages of meditation, of getting your head clear and everything. So I don't know if I'm doing it the right way or anything like that, but don't take the meditation part too seriously. I just want you to be comfortable, and it helps if you close your eyes and take your right hand and place it over your heart. And because your heart is where the answers are going to come from, and so it's good to be connected to your heart. Your heart is such an amazing organ. It just keeps on beating all the time and pumping blood to all the places it needs to go, and never needs to be told to speed up or slow down. or even to keep going. If your heart was taken out of your chest right now, it would continue to beat for hours without being at all connected to your brain. And so we know that the heart has its own intelligence, and that's where the answers are going to come from in this visualization. So I just want you to imagine that you find yourself in your doctor's office, and he's called you in to discuss some test results, and kind of has a look on his face that you haven't seen before. And he delivers to you a life-changing diagnosis that you have a terminal illness and that you have a year to live. And so you're going to remain relatively healthy for the year, but then you're going to rapidly deteriorate and then die. And so it's natural to find this news shocking, and you might feel sadness or anger at first, but somehow there's a little bit of a sense of relief once the anger and the sadness subside a little bit. And you might even feel grateful for having finally knowing how much time you have left. Most people live their lives out never knowing how much time they have left, and they never have a deadline. They never get around to doing the most important things in their lives. And, death kind of sneaks up on them and takes them without them having done the most important things. But you have a deadline, so you know how much time you have. So it's time to get ready to take massive action and ask yourself a few questions. Like, what are the most important goals that you must accomplish before you die? If you could achieve these massive goals in just 1 year, how would you go about doing that? And what can you do today to begin your journey toward the achievement of all your goals? But before you start, it's important to know that you're doing the right things and aiming for the right goals. So I like to just imagine that I can travel into the future, and now the year has come and gone, and we can go into the hospital and visit your future self, and we can go into your room and see yourself in the hospital bed, and see your future self at the end of your life, possibly bedridden and sick and weak, and there are tubes and wires connected to your future self, and you can smell the hospital smells. You can hear the heart monitor beeping and the other machines whirring and humming. Your future self doesn't have very much time left, but even so, the seconds and minutes seem to tick by slower than ever. There's nothing to occupy the mind of your future self but the thought of facing death. And this is the time to look back upon your life. Your future self has the clearest view of all the trials and the tribulations and all the ups and all the downs and all the joy and all the pain. And your future self can look back and see every single moment of your life and the result of every action you've ever taken. This is the time to ask your future self the most important questions. Questions like, what are you most proud of accomplishing in your life? And maybe this is something that you haven't accomplished yet because you're asking your future self, right? What is the one thing that would give you the most joy and the most satisfaction? What is your biggest regret? What is one thing you wish you had done in your life? Are you happy with who you became in your life? What would you change about yourself if you could go back in time? Who are the people that you wish you'd stayed connected with? And what do you wish you'd told them that must now go unspoken? Finish this sentence and fill in the blanks. If I could do it all over, I would be more blank. I would do more blank. And I would have more blank. What new meaning would your life have if I could erase all my regrets by just going back and doing the most important things in my life? And so this conversation with your future self can go on for as long as you'd like it to. You might think up some more questions to ask. And you might end the conversation by making a pact with your future self that you will go back and make massive changes in your life. And your future self will thank you for doing this. And relieving all of his or her guilt and regret. And when it's time, you can say goodbye and begin the journey back into the present. And so just take your time and gradually bring yourself back into the present moment. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And so now that you have some clarity about the things that really matter in your life, but clarity alone doesn't get it done. There has to be that urgency, right? There has to be a deadline. And so you might be in perfect health today. You might live for, decades yet. But if you don't start on these things, eventually you will run out of time. So using visualization to push that deadline up is so powerful, and visiting our future self on our deathbed just gives you so much clarity. And so that is the exercise that I use to set my goals, and I call that a year to live. So thanks for watching.